Hello, all. This week we're going to be discussing Spider-Man Brand New Day. Does it spin a web of perfection or just entangle us in a hot mess? Stick with us to find out. Hello, all. Welcome to Middle-Aged Geeks. I am Phil. That is Daz. And as I said, this week we're going to be discussing Spider-Man Brand New Day, which I'm excited to have a chat about. So before we get into getting some of your early thoughts, Daz, I'm just going to give a quick yap about the movie itself. So the synopsis of this one is: a forgotten Peter Parker lives alone as a full-time Spider-Man until mounting pressure triggers a dangerous change and a powerful new enemy emerges. Which, yeah, I suppose that kind of describes it. This one changes director for this one. So we've got a new one, which what's this called? Destin, is it Destin Daniel Cretton? Who directed Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings, which is interesting after having the same director for the first three movies. Written by Chris McKenna and Eric Summers. They did the previous three. Spider Home trilogy? Is that what they call it? Home? I don't know. Spider-Man Home trilogy. This one had a budget of a whopping $225 million. Main cast, as you can imagine: Tom Holland as Spider-Man, Zendaya as MJ, Jacob Batalon as Ned Leeds, Sadie Sink as a mystery role, John Bernthal as Frank Castle, Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, and then a few others, Trouble Tillman, Michael Mando and stuff. But Daz, look, that's kind of the synopsis stuff out of the way. So I want to hear, what did you think of this one? Are we coming back into another episode saying, are Marvel saved? Have they turned the corner? Because I feel like last year we said it fucking two or three different times. We were hoping.
I don't know if they're saved, but I really did like this one. And I don't know if it was due to low expectations or what, because, going in, I was expecting, I was worried by the trailer. I wasn't overawed by the trailers at all. I thought they actually give too much away. And I was worried, I think we talked about it, that is it going to lean too much on like Punisher or cameos? And is it going to be, there's a lot of work for this movie to do before kind of Doomsday comes out? Is it just going to be cameos and world building and all that kind of stuff? Is it going to overshadow the Peter Parker story and what they're billing as a new trilogy? But what I got is exactly the kind of Spider-Man film that I've been wanting for years. Instead of going full on, multiverse insanity, it's stripping everything back and dials it back and gives us a smaller, more grounded New York kind of focus story. And I loved that. It's funny, like it's emotional, and it's a lot more mature. The themes are very mature and quite heavy at times. But Tom Holland, I thought, was brilliant in this after we gave him a bit of shtick last week for the Odyssey and kind of been out of his depth. I thought in this, he was excellent. And in the previous three movies, like he's really good at being Spider-Man, and we know that. But in this, there were moments where it's just going, oh, fuck you are. You own the role. And he's built like a fucking tank as well. But yeah, I thought the script was sound. Everyone was on point. I thought the pacing was brilliant. Flew by. Didn't even realize it was over 2 hours movie. And it was just a great reminder. I think that Spider-Man, those stories work best when the story stays kind of personal. You know what I mean? It's more emotional and more personal story. Even when it's just Peter and his relationship with his friends, it feels more personal and there's more stakes rather than when it's a world-ending kind of story. And that was a pleasant surprise. But yeah, I think I was pleasantly surprised at how much I liked it. I knew it was going to be pretty good, but I thought it was really, really great. How about yourself?
Yeah, similar thoughts. Like I think it's like a lot of Marvel stuff. I think it's based on the storyline from Brand New Day, but like it was different, I think, from the previous one, where I think it was Mephisto, or whoever it was the one who made everybody forget Peter Parker rather than what we got with Strange. But they built it loosely around that, and like that, I was afraid it was going to be a setup movie as well, that we're just introducing these characters. So then when the whole Doomsday thing kicks off and Secret Wars and whatever else. But no, like that word mature, I suppose, is the one that really kind of rings true. I think it really feels like a darker one, but also more mature themes. Even the language being used, we've got, especially adding in Frank Castle, you've got because you were worried they might put the mockers on him a little bit, because that character is so it's 18s or rated, or whatever you want to call it, is the TV show that they maybe pull back a bit, but I still thought he was great. He's still got that really gruff and hard ass. I like they just stepped it up, everything with the violence and everything as well. Like I'm expecting like full frontal nudity by the time we get to Spider-Man 6. I think like, it just keeps stepping it up a notch.
Yeah.
But no, I thought it was great. I thought that the Michael Giacchino returning for the score was great. The
score was super.
Yeah, it really was. Like, and I like the few nods and Easter eggs were good, but I enjoyed the cinematography. I thought that this was the best use of the swinging around the city that I've seen in a Spider-Man movie. Just not only because all the fuck ups and stuff, but also just even when he's with MJ and stuff, it just looked a little bit more natural, as natural as you could make swinging around the city with spider webs coming out of your hands.
It seemed like they dial that up a notch as well. Or they've come up with a new, fresh way. Because remember, like when we first had, the first Spider-Man, 2002 or whatever, and when you get that POV shooting down through New York, you're like, whoa, excellent. And then every Spider-Man movie has gone about different ways to kind of showcase it a bit more from different angles and stuff. But this one, definitely, because there's some slow-mo stuff in there, but there's some really just close-ups on Zendaya and Peter as he's swinging, and the kind of the kind of slightly violent kind of tugs when he's swinging from building to building. It was fantastic how they just stepped that up once more.
I saw someone say that I think that they felt it felt a little bit like the video game, or they learned from the video game, and I kind of agree a little bit with that. Like I'd say there's even some, I feel like some nods to video games with regards to say some of the guys he fights with the energy weapons and stuff. You're like, that's pretty much looks exactly like the Sable guys or whatever. But no, I agree, man. I was slightly worried, but I ended up coming out, loving it. I just thought Tom thought it was his strongest performance as Peter Parker. And I really, really feel that isolation that he must have feel after what happened, with the last one with No Way Home, being just nobody remembers you. It must be a feeling like that you can barely even comprehend what it must be like. But no, I really, I'm delighted with how it came out, and so I know there was a lot of haters and stuff before it even got released. But like at the same time, there was some of that. I know you're saying that we were talking about this setup. There was a little bit, I think maybe towards the end of that stuffing of together. Here's what's coming next, kind of thing. And it didn't really do too much throughout the movie, but towards the end, we kind of got a bit more trying to stuff it in. And here we go. Whereas there was some really interesting stuff I would love to have seen more with Scorpion, because like we saw him in Homecoming, but not with the gear and everything on. Like to see it full costume. You do get a couple of fights, but I would have liked to have seen maybe explore that a little bit more, or explore the relationship between Peter Parker and Bruce Banner a little more. That would have been cool. But I get that they are setting up what's coming up.
The fact that I guess like with Scorpion and Banner and even Punisher to that same degree, they're all in it, I think, enough, but not too much. Like the Punisher, especially, I was worried from the trailer. It's just like, is this going to be not a buddy cop movie per se, but is he going to be in it a lot? And they have some lovely scenes and a lovely relationship, but he's only in it for a few scenes, which is brilliant. And he does disappear for long periods of time, which is wonderful. And the same with Bruce Banner and the Hulk. He's around. And then I guess a lot of that stuff, unfortunately, is in the trailer. And that's probably one of my main nitpicks, which is not really in the movie. But it's like, I only saw the trailer for this maybe once, maybe twice, the main trailer. And it's just, they're kind of like, Sadie Sink mystery character or the Hulk, all their main beats essentially are in the trailer. Even one of the best fights towards the end with the hand, it's just in the trailer. Like, just come on, man. I know there's some mystery to the movie, but mainly around the villain, but there's just so much of the great moments that are, just unfortunately in the trailer, which is
so many of the main action beats are in it. Like just even from the first kind of action scene we get, that's in the trailer, so it's right away up until the last. So I get that. I think I maybe we'll just, before we start getting on too much around the story, let's just stick for performances for the moment, because we've sung Tom Holland's praises, but I really enjoyed the the way they handled Ned. I thought Ned was great. What's his name? Jacob Batalon. I thought he was great. The fact that his character still stayed the same. He still he remembers them all being saved by Spider-Man, but obviously doesn't know who Peter Parker is. And so they still kept him as this kind of, obsessed super fan kind of thing. And that's how easy it is for the three of them to be around each other. And it really... I enjoyed his performance, I think, more than I have in any of the other movies. And same, and with Zendaya as well. I mean, obviously they're a married couple, so they've got great chemistry. You can see as well the pain that she's feeling for him of how difficult, because she doesn't know the MJ that he knows. She's like, well, I don't know. I'm not part of that, and that must be so difficult. And that dealing with those themes, I thought those three actors, I thought they carried it really well.
It just goes to show the just impeccable casting to get the three of them in the first place. Obviously, Tom Holland and Zendaya are together now, but even when you go back to the beginning of the first trilogy, and it's just effortless chemistry, and you totally believe why they'd be mates and why Zendaya and Spidey would be attracted to each other and lovers and all that. And I loved that kind of some of the mystery around it is how that goes and where you think it might go, and it's kind of rug pull kind of moments as well. And it's an emotional movie, but there's some gut punches in there as well, and some really, really kind of tender scenes that where there's just no music and they're just them fucking chatting. And I just love that. I love that they had the kind of balls to just put a lot of that in the movie. And mature Spider-Man, because Tom Holland is now 39 or something. No, I think he's 30. But
I'm pretty sure they're in their mid-20s. Is he not in his mid-20s or something?
He's 30.
I don't know.
He's 31.
I suppose it's 10. I suppose it's 10 years since Civil War, his first appearance. That would make sense. Yeah. But he definitely
he's not in fucking school anymore.
Yeah, and I think and they've dialed back the part. You see the stretching thing in the trailer when he's talking about you guys stretch. There's not so much of the quips that we're used to from Spider-Man, because usually he's joking the whole time. He's joking while he's fighting. He's throwing in stuff. They really cut back on that.
Because I thought he was great. I thought, which is good.
Because he's a bit miserable. Yeah. But no, I thought I was a fan of how he handled it. I think that maybe shifting gears to a different director was a really great idea for that, because we were getting a very coming of age tone for the first three movies, and this and some of the plot line is him making that next step, becoming an adult, becoming another, a different Spider-Man,
and having to deal with the ramifications of his actions and what came in the last movie, which they double down on here, and it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think it really it changed the feel of it, and I think it was a good call, because you could have easily stuck with the same director and said, look, we've got like John Watts has given us fucking, three really good movies. We could just stick with the safe option. I think maybe switching out was a good idea. But what did you think of, because we mentioned her name and we're not going to mention who she plays, even though everybody knows. But what did you think?
If you watch the trailer, it's very obvious who the fuck she is. Like, I think they came out and eventually it kind of admitted it. Just like, I know you think it's a mystery, but audiences are far from as dumb fucking shitheads as you think they are.
But can we just say it then? So cover your ears if you don't want to hear it. But like, she's Jean Grey, obviously. But like, everybody knew it.
The trailer shows somebody being mind controlled, and the whole mind controlling an entire fucking population at times. And there's only one character that can kind of do that.
And someone even apparently asked her in an interview, I'm not sure if it was Variety or someone, was like, I know you can't say anything, but like, if I was to go to a store and buy a pair of jeans that were grey, what would you think? Like, and her going,
you Professor
that sounds cool. But I loved her. I thought she was great. I thought she was brilliant I thought she was brilliant in Stranger Things as well. I was always looking a little bit apprehensive when a new character is added into a TV show, and that's what Max is. She doesn't start with the original group, so I was like, I'm not sure, is she going to just be a bit part? But she ended up being one of my favorite characters by the end of that show. So I thought she was wonderful, and it's a different Jean Grey than we've seen in the other ones with Famke Jensen and then with Sophie Turner. God love her. Sophie Turner's movies sucked. God, that Dark Phoenix. Horrible to just think about. But I thought she was great. I thought, again, it's a character who's really, really struggling with loss and identity and isolation, much like Spider-Man is. But I thought she handled it so well.
Yeah, like she's absolutely one of the biggest standouts in the movie, and she's just got an incredible screen presence. She's just got an intensity to her where she doesn't really have to do anything, and it's just in her eyes and her backstory. And this is very, emotional in the way it plays out. But she, like the scenes that she's in, she's just fucking nails it. You're just going, oh, I'm 100% behind her and X-Men featuring her, if that's the kind of caliber and standard that they're going for, because it's just such a dark character in general, and they just lean into that fucking 1,000%. And it's there's just so much depth to the character in this kind of fleeting glimpse, if so to speak. But yeah, excited to see where they take her. But she's fantastic. Like, there's, you obviously won't get into spoilers, but there's some just scenes where she's just sitting down, just chatting with Peter, and it's just like, oh fucking hell, it's just gut wrenching, and you just totally feel for her. And she's that type of villain that you totally get behind. You love that, where it's just like, we know you're not a villain, but like, I'm 100% behind your plan and your plotting. But like, she there is a moment in the movie where she is so powerful, and it's incredible. How is he going to fucking catch her and figure out who she is? At the moment she's just driving away, and she just stares out the window so that the camera can catch her face, and you're kind of going, oh lads, now come on. That was a bit shite, but yeah, she was fucking brilliant. Like, really, such a standout. But there's so many standouts. Even just people who are in it for a few scenes are fucking nailing it, and that's really down to the director really just stepping it up with the whole cast, like from Tom Holland on down. Everyone is just up a notch with this, and I guarantee they're just loving the more mature kind of script and content anyway to get stuck into.
Yeah, no, I think that, like, I think that this was always going to be a tough balance, I thought, for this movie, and that's why I was worried. But I really think that I think that the actors knocked it out of the park. The writing was it wasn't forced. We weren't looking until I feel towards the end, and yeah, I just thought really just standout performances. I was absolutely delighted as I walked out of the place. What did you think regarding the effects? Because it's a superhero movie. There's going to be plenty. I think there's definitely more practical in this than I have seen in some of the other ones. Yeah. But like, what did you think for the 225 estimated million? What did you think of the effects?
Well, it's kind of a weird one, because I wouldn't have thought it had cost that much money. There's not a lot of like, wow, that looks expensive on screen, but that's not a bad thing. I think that actually works in its favor, and that ties into the kind of cinematography and the way that it's shot, that it feels so grounded. It feels a lot more, it just feels like it took place where it's supposed to take place. Like, I know from behind the scenes, we've seen that, like, they're on the streets of New York or wherever, it's in Toronto pretending to be New York. Glasgow, but a lot of it just, where was it?
They filmed some in Glasgow, I think.
Was it? Glasgow? Fuck, yeah. Cool. It looked amazing. Like, the action set pieces were fantastic, and it's just visually, like, it looked expensive, I guess, more so from a cinematic point of view or a cinematography point of view. Like, some of the action set pieces, like they're just, the choreography around them was fantastic, but you were never going, wow, because the spectacle it's grand in scope, but it's small in scale, which I thought was excellent. But I thought it looked great. It looked better than most Marvel movies I've seen in quite some time. That actually, it looked like he was wearing the suit. You know, when you see those behind the scenes of Stark and Spider-Man, they're wearing the
iron
mocap suits and all this kind of shit.
Because print.
Yeah, we put the suits on afterwards. Just like, just let them fucking wear the suits, and just looked like he was wearing the fucking suit. The suit looked great.
Which at times did look a bit awkward. Like, the face thought it was great, but sometimes the full thing, you're like, that looks like a guy in a Spider-Man costume, but that looks like a regular dude.
That's what it should look like. I mean, the problem is,
but when you've not had that, though. But when you've not had that for, whatever amount of movies he's been in, six MCU movies or something.
It looked like a guy from Comic-Con.
Yeah.
But I loved that. It looked awkward. And that's one of the beautiful things about this, that he spends so much time in the costume. He goes in and meets he's chatting to people in the fucking FBI or the police department and stuff, and he's just sitting there in the mask and the suit, and you're just like, it just looks kind of awkward and weird, but that's kind of cool. I really, enjoyed the suit. It just didn't
Yeah,
look over processed kind of shite. There was like
yeah,
there was a
no,
movie
I get
that
what you
had
mean.
shadows. Like Marvel movies don't have fucking shadows. Everything's too glossy and well lit. Where this looked like a perfect embodiment of and visual representation of Spider-Man in New York.
Yeah, I think well, that's not that they were going for the whole thing of him basically being stripped back. You know, I mean, he's been stripped back to his life, and everything is basically being stripped back to that much smaller scale as what they did in the comics. That's what they were going for here, and I think that rather than giving us those huge action scenes, as you said. There's so much awesome hand-to-hand combat, not only because he's, as you see in the trailer, he's struggling with his powers and what's happening to him, but that means that he has to rely so much more on not just firing webs, but physical combat. And there's some really, really great choreography when he's fighting. Like the fight with the hand that you see in the trailer is fucking class.
Excellent.
Absolutely. Yeah, that whole sequence is really, really cool. There's there's a lot more of that which I really liked. It's
and a good old just fucking chase sequence, as you say, straight from a video game, where you're just chasing a fucking tank, and it's like, as you see a bit of it in the trailer, but there's thankfully a lot more in the movie of it, and it's just fucking brilliant. And it's him just chasing just regular guys. This is just one of his day-to-day kind of crime solving, crime thwarting exercises, and just like it turns into a massive action set piece. And it's like, this is fucking brilliant. Like, love that.
Yeah, no, me too. Yeah, it's. I mean, we've already pointed out a few faults. It's hard to kind of point. Do you have any beefs? Like, I know I've mentioned a couple of things. Do you have anything major that stood out to you that you thought knocked any points off this one?
Not really, to be honest. I mean, a lot of my issues are just with the fucking promotion of the movie, and it teeters on the edge of getting over stuff towards the end, but I know what they kind of had to do, and kind of okay with that, because it's not this over the top crazy action fucking 50 million set piece that you would normally expect from a movie like this. So I was kind of okay with it being a little bit kind of not so much over stuff, but kind of leaning into maybe what's to come. But it showcases how much that it's not that type of movie for the most part, because the end credit scene, there's no like, oh, Thanos is coming or Doomsday is coming. There's none of that. It's just, it's so self-contained to a point where you need to know the last three movies. But you could nearly rather than hanging around, you could nearly Google what the last one is, and
that's how. But I think I agree with pretty much most of the stuff you're saying there. I think that the trailer, they spent too much time focusing on not letting us know who Sadie Sink was, even though we all knew. They spent too much time focusing on that by showing us all the other parts.
Everything else
she's not in. So they just really hammered home, like, here's this part, here's this part, here's this part. Forget Sadie Sink. Here's this part, here's this part, here's this part. Forget
like the whole thing with his the whole thing with his mutation and stuff. Like in the final trailer, it's kind of hinted, oh, what's happening? Something's happening with him. Maybe he's mutating or something. But then the trailer 3, they show the new webs coming out, and they you don't need to put that in the fucking movie. You've got the Punisher. You've got you've got enough to sell. Like, people are it's going to make $200 million in the US. Like, they're saying it could make $500 million globally opening weekend. It's astonishing. Someone needs to rein in these fucking marketing people and just save a few kind of things, because they're like, well, they don't know who Sadie Sink is.
Like, we all do. Even the kids. Everybody knows. Like I admit, like I said, these are small little beefs that I had, but for the most part, I was over the moon with how this turned out. I liked the nods. I liked that it brought in the hand. We would have really only known from the Marvel TV series. I think they were in Iron Fist or something first, or Daredevil, one or the other. And it was cool to have them. And just like you said, it brings it back down to that more ground level, especially with Frank Castle and stuff. And so I really, really enjoyed that. Yeah, and the teases obviously that we have because we know Tremel Tillman, who we haven't barely even touched on, who plays Metzger. Like, Metzger in the comics is like, he's like he's like the anti-mutant guy, isn't he, in the comics and in the cartoon? He's this really anti-mutant guy. So having him as the head of damage control, I'd hope that we see more of him. Like, 100%. But okay. Well, look, I don't really want to say anything more about this, as like regard. We've already touched on storyline, performances, all the rest of it. I don't want to say anything more that might spoil it for anybody who does want to see it.
Yeah.
So how about we finish up the main part there and give it a star rating, and then we can move on to some spoilers. So, what about this one, Daz? What would you give it as a star rating?
Yeah, it's like it's hard not. I was kind of coming out going, oh yeah, kind of 4 stars. But the more I've thought about it, I just give this 4.5 stars because I can't think of too many things that I didn't like about it. Like it's funny, emotional, exciting. The performances are brilliant. Cinematography is Marvel's best in years, and the action's great, and a nice, mature script, and the actors obviously fucking loving that. And yeah, just the whole thing that Spider-Man doesn't need to save the world to have, to tell a great story. And for me, it's probably I think it's actually probably my favorite live action Spider-Man now. Obviously the Spider-Verse movies are tiers above for me.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, this 4.5 stars for me. I just fucking loved it, and I can't wait to actually see it again. So yeah, this was fucking deadly. Home run.
Yeah, I honestly think the same as well. Like, I had, like I said, a few gripes they had were very small. I think that they took the balance really well. I think it was a good choice by Sony, Marvel, whatever, by changing the director. It's a fun watch. It's some really, really heartbreaking and touching moments. Even when we get the flashbacks with, I don't think it's a spoiler to say that Aunt May is in a flashback. But just the stuff there, and there's some just beautiful, beautiful scenes, and this undercurrent of what is to come from the next few movies. But they've stepped it up a notch, and I'm absolutely delighted to say 4.5 as well. Great. So listen, if you're leaving us there, thanks a million for joining us. Let us know in the comments what you thought. Did it get your spidey sense tingling, or maybe you just have an STD that you need to get checked? But we loved it and we recommend it. Keep on liking, subscribing, all that stuff, and we're going to move on now to a few spoilers. Yeah, so that's spoilers. Like, there's not really a massive amount that we haven't kind of seen in the trailers. But was there any huge parts that we didn't get to talk about in the main section?
For me, it's actually one of the quieter moments is when Jean Grey possesses MJ on the rooftop. They share the kiss.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I was equally kind of annoyed that, like, are they actually going to just retcon this whole thing and that she remembers and all this stuff because of a kiss? But I was so invested in the moment that I wanted it to happen, even as cheesy as that would have been. And then when you realize that that's not the case, and it's just Jean Grey has possessed her, and it's just like, it's such a punch in the fucking chest. It's just like, oh God. And Tom Holland, that scene, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's the best acting he's fucking ever done and will ever do for some time. It's just because he doesn't do much. It's just his look of his world. He's just going, oh fuck, like, why would you do that? Like, he's not even angry to the point of, rage. It's just pure, it's just absolute gut punch.
That's the worst thing you could. It's the worst thing you could have done to him. The worst possible thing you could have done to him. Like,
and that's when you really sell that this isn't like an evil person or someone doing something really that's just so fucking nasty. You can punch the shit out of him all day long, but that was just horrendous. And a lot of the best things about the movie are these softer moments between the characters, which is obviously it's great when you get to say that about a comic book movie, action heavy comic book movie. Brilliant.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. I think that there's the real human moments. There's another one with them on the when they're in Frank's place, when she's explaining, when she's saying to him, like, because she gets the letter, and so she's read the letter that we saw on the ballot. Yeah, and she's just like, how heartbreaking it must be, and how difficult his choice have to be. But when she's just telling him, like, I don't love you, I don't even know you, and it's such a difficult scene for for our characters. And it was heartbreaking to watch, and you can see Peter's face. He doesn't even have to say, I know, or I understand, right? He's just kind of sitting there, doesn't say anything, because he's just, he's crushed, but he understands, obviously.
And she's so nice about it, it's just like...
Yeah, and then the other side of it as well, you've got the nice ones between him and Frank Castle, especially when he wakes up in the hospital, and Frank is there, and they have that kind of moment. He's laughing at him. Did I just see you crying? And they have that kind of like, Fred. Yeah, and I think that's great. They just, okay, and it kind of gives you that feeling with that, and the bit of Ned at the end. He's not alone. The same way he says to Jean, "You're not alone." He does, and everybody's forgotten, but he does have Frank, and now look, he can still be friends with Ned, and build his life back up again, that there's hope for him. He doesn't have to be, because at the start it's this, they're hammering home the themes of male loneliness and blah 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 ever at the early on. So yeah, no, I love, yeah, it is. I think the more intimate scenes really,
and it's just,
really
I think it's just a better script in that regard as well, because you had the original Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, and when he tells MJ, like, there's that thing where he's says he doesn't love her, and even though he does, and it's just to protect her, and it's that kind of like, oh, the sacrifice of Spider-Man and all that. But this, it's a new thing. Like, he's made the sacrifice, and now you see him having to fucking live with it and try and journey through that. It's just fucking brilliant. It's so much deeper than I expected it to be at all. Like, I expected him to just kind of wreck on it completely and just, but this is how it's going to be, which is, yeah, credit to them.
Yeah, and good job, like, not only from from the director's point of view, but from the writers, because it is the same writers. It's not like they changed the writers and then that they gave us the darker tone. It's the same writers who came back from the first trilogy, and they've stepped it up as well and given us a whole new level to these kind of movies. We're not the young Spider-Man anymore. So it's exciting.
And especially because, yeah, as you said, like, getting that director in is like, it showcases why they kind of got him in. Obviously, Shang-Chi was a fucking great success and just really well directed. But like, this guy made Short Term 12, one of my favorite fucking indie movies, like 10, 12 years ago. And it's fucking brilliant. It's all built around relationship dramas. It's just incredible. And he showcases all those talents here in some of those relationship scenes and some of those, just that chemistry. Fucking fantastic.
Yeah. I don't really have anything. My other questions I'll just ask you off air, because I have a couple of questions I don't really understand about the inhibitors and whatnot. We'll talk about that off air. Yeah. But thanks for sticking around. Let us know in the comments whether you liked it, whether you think we're talking absolute bollocks or whatever. Yeah, give us a like, give us a share, tell your friends, and yeah, we'll see you next week for a new one. We're sorry for the long gap between the two episodes, but there really was feck all to see until
we've got a surprise episode coming up.
But we will have an absolute stinker for you during the week, no doubt. Okay, look, take care of each other, and we will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.